A little while ago, I drove a Volkswagen Tiguan. It was a 162 TSI Highline with the R-Line package. Now, ridiculous name, but amazing SUV. So amazing, I kind of said this. I think it's very possibly the best mid-size SUV on the planet. But all of that could change because that has arrived. It's the new generation Mazda CX-5, and this is the king of all CX-5s. It's the Akera grade, and it's a diesel. And I'm about to drive it. But wait, there's a lot of pressure on this SUV. You see, for the past 4 years, the CX-5 has been the best-selling SUV in Australia. It became the benchmark for mid-size SUVs. How do you top that?
You build something even better. Whoa. The new CX-5 is one sexy beast. That nose resembles the snout seen on Mazda's SUV mothership, the CX-9. There's those sleek headlights, that profile, that bottom. The CX-5 Akera is only 10mm longer than the previous model. It's the same width and about 30mm shorter in height.
Okay, this is really important. The Akera is pretty much identical to the grade below it. That's the GT. So it gets all of the GT things, including these hideous 19-inch alloy wheels. Come on, Mazda, give us a good wheel. Proximity unlocking, that's fantastic. And an auto tailgate. Now, it doesn't have a kick function like in the Tiguan, but that's still pretty good. Okay, a quick tip for parents. Anchor points, 3 top tethers across the back and 2 ISOFIX points. That's great. Not so great is this coupy swoopy roofline. It looks good, but because it slopes down, you lose a bit of practicality. Now, if you've got kids, you'll know what I mean by that. Kid's head bonk there. Still no biggie, really. Okay, so the new Mazda CX-5 boot is a little bit bigger than the previous one. It's still not quite as big as the Tiguan's though. That said, look what we've been able to fit in here. We've been able to fit this, and this, and this little guy, and the CarsGuide pram. That is amazing. Space saver spare underneath. Okay, so the cabin of the Akera is pretty much identical to the GT spec. You pick up all the GT goodies like these heated leather seats. Don't go for the white though if you've got kids. I've had my toddler in here for the last couple of days and I'm not sure I'm ever going to get these marks off. Go for the black option. Also, 10-speaker Bose sound system and sunroof. Excellent.
Oh, and by the way, there's excellent head and legroom in the back seats as well. I'm 191 centimeters tall. This seat's in my driving position and my knees aren't touching the seat back. That's not bad. The CX-5 Akera also has one of the best head-up displays I've ever seen. It's so clear and non-intrusive. It's a beautifully crafted cabin with a high-quality feel to the build. But does it feel as good as the Tiguan?
No. There's a couple of little refinement issues, like the instrument cluster. The housing around it is coming away slightly. Just small little things like that which aren't quite as polished as the Volkswagen.
Other standard features include the 7-inch touchscreen, dual-zone climate control and sat-nav.
Okay, so what makes an Akera then if it gets pretty much everything that the GT's got? Basically, the answer to that question is it gets a whole lot of advanced safety kit that the GT and the other grades don't get. It gets adaptive cruise control, which is fantastic in bumper-to-bumper traffic. It gets lane keeping assistance and lane departure warning, which is really good. I use that it jumps in all the time when I'm driving. Comes in very handy. It gets LED adaptive headlights, which are fantastic. They are so bright, really good for country roads and night driving in the bush. Fantastic. The Akera spec also gets AEB, which works at higher speeds. So what is the Akera diesel like to drive? It's exceptional, even better than the last CX-5. The steering is perfectly weighted. It's not too light, it's not too heavy, it's just right. The seating position is excellent. Mazda know how to do a seating position. In fact, they spend over $20 billion a year trying to find out the perfect way to sit. They don't spend that, but they do a lot of work into trying to make a car feel good to sit in and drive. I'm sitting quite low, the steering wheel's quite high. Those are the beginnings of a good recipe for good driving. Visibility is also really, really good. Not a lot of obstruction from these A-pillars here. They kind of go down and sort of dip in, so they get out of their way for you. Visibility out that rear quarter window is pretty good too. It's tiny, but you use every single millimeter of the glass. Good visibility there. Reversing camera, clarity is great as well. And even though that rear window is quite small, there's actually pretty good visibility out of that as well. Now, it's a 4-cylinder turbo diesel. It's torquey like all diesels are, and that's great. There's a little tiny bit of turbo lag. Actually, the turbo lag in this is not as bad as the equivalent diesel in the Tiguan range, the 140 TDI diesel. Here's a point for you. Here's a point. The Volkswagen Tiguan 140 TDI, which really is the equivalent of the Akera diesel, has a DSG. Now, I actually prefer the 6-speed automatic, which is in the Akera diesel, to that DSG. No matter how good a DSG is, it's never going to feel this smooth. Now, the CX-5 fits in the Mazda SUV lineup between the enormo CX-9 and the CX-3 below it. Now, the CX-3 is tiny. Our photographer bought one recently, and I think he probably wishes he bought a CX-5 because he's got a small family, and it's a very little car. The CX-5 is kind of in the Goldilocks zone. It's not enormous like a CX-9, but then it's not tiny like a CX-3. Now, one of the outstanding points about the CX-5 Akera diesel is its ride. The ride is super comfortable. I'm really impressed. You know what? We need to have a talk. Let's get in the back. Okay, so I think we need to talk about something. There's no point comparing this to the 162 TSI Highline with the R-Line package because that was a petrol. This is a diesel. So the Tiguan to compare it to is another one that I reviewed called the 140 TDI. The 140 TDI is exactly, well, pretty much spot on the same price as the Akera all-wheel drive diesel. So, how do you compare them? Well, here is my review. Let's just go through the standard features. Now, the 140 TDI Highline gets LED headlights, so does the Akera. It gets tinted 65% light-absorbing glass. Actually, that's a really good point. The glass here isn't tinted like that. I had to put a sunshade up for my toddler in the back when we were driving him around, so a tick to the Tiguan there. The Tiguan gets 18-inch wheels. This gets 19-inch. I'm not sure if that's a win or a loss, really, but 19-inch. The Volkswagen gets the top-notch audio system. This does as well. This gets a Bose system. They're both fantastic. The Volkswagen gets an auto boot with the kick opening thing. This has just got an automatic opening boot. The kick opening is really good if you've got stuff in your hands. What else is there? Heated leather front seats. Well, so does the Akera. So far they're kind of neck and neck. What else? Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. That's what you get in the Tiguan 140 TDI. You don't get Apple CarPlay or Android Auto in this Mazda. I don't understand why not. It's fantastic. You also get a larger screen in the Tiguan. You get an 8-inch screen. This is a 7-inch. What else is there? Bluetooth. This has got Bluetooth. Been through leather upholstery, been through heated seats. Here we go. So with the Tiguan 140 TDI, you have to pay $2,000 more for the driver assistance package, and that gives you adaptive cruise control, rear cross traffic, and blind spot warning. All of those things are standard in the list price for the Akera. That's That's a big win for the Akera. Active info display in the Tiguan. It's a 12.3-inch display. You've got to pay for that. Forget about that. So let's finish this. All right. The Mazda CX-5 diesel Akera is a beautiful thing outside and in. It's wonderful to drive, but that ride is just so comfortable. That diesel engine is excellent. Is it the best mid-size SUV on the planet right now? No. I think it's the third best mid-size SUV on the planet right now. To read our full review, click on this little guy right here. Oh, and subscribe. That way you can stay on top of all our latest videos.